Well, hey everybody. Pastor George here with the Myrtle Beach Bible Bank, and just want to share with you a little exhortation from the book of Nehemiah as we have been reading it together. And we've been talking about our confidence in God. And many of us have been greatly encouraged in this time of reading from Nehemiah. And so I just want to continue in that encouragement to encourage you to keep going and pressing into that confidence as God continues to grow us in faith in Him in all that He has for us. And so the verse that I really want to focus on is, and we've already talked about it somewhat, and I know you've heard it before about the power of prayer and how powerful it truly is that we are before God and He hears us in Jesus' name. And so how awesome that is. And so it says in chapter 4 of Nehemiah, in verse 14, Nehemiah exhorts the people as they are feeling discouragement because they are going forth and trying to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And here are these naysayers, or these ones who are stirring up opposition against them because they don't want the walls to be rebuilt. And so Nehemiah says, "Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, great and awesome, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses." In other words, Nehemiah was saying, stand firm in the word that God has given us, that God has brought us back to this land. God has enabled us to rebuild the walls. We're doing it together. We've prayed to God for His blessing. Now, therefore, let's stand firm in confidence, in faith, in what He has called us to do, and let's continue to do it. Nehemiah was not saying, let's go out and make war with the opposition. Rather, he was saying, let's continue to do the work that God has called us to do and be prepared for if the opposition should come towards us in a manner in which we need to physically defend ourselves. Well, then we're going to be prepared for that. And we read further along that the workers stood working with their swords by their sides, with spears, and they were ready in case anyone did physically attack them. And so Nehemiah kept them focused on the purpose in which they were there for. And so I also encourage you in the same way, just as Jesus remained focused in the beginning of Mark, when there were many healings taking place, and Jesus had healed Peter's mother-in-law from a fever. And so Jesus withdrew himself in the evening, and then in the next day, and we read in Mark chapter 1, beginning in verse 35, "Now in the morning, having risen a long while before daylight, he went out and departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him. When they found him, they said to him, 'Everyone is looking for you.' But he said to them, 'Let us go into the next towns, that I may preach there also, because for this purpose I have come forth.'" And so we see right there that Jesus went to a solitary place. He was found there in the morning. He was praying to His Father in heaven, our Father in heaven, for continued guidance, just like we need to be doing. We follow Jesus's direction. We follow the path in which He has laid forth. And so continue to do that. And should you feel like maybe you're drifting from the path, go back to the Father in prayer. Begin in prayer, ask Him, and remain committed and focused to the purpose in which He has told you to do, no matter what it looks to those around you or to what you're doing, to the naysayers. There's always going to be someone to come against you, because we are also reminded in Ephesians chapter 6, in verse 12, that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand. And it goes on, of course, through the armor of God, and it wraps up with verse 18 in Ephesians chapter 6. And Paul writes, "Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints." We persevere in prayer because God has given us confidence in Him through all He has done for us, all we have bared witness through our brothers and sisters, all we've bared witness and read about in the Bible. Have confidence in God. He is able to keep you and bring you through. Continue to stay focused in the purposes in which He has set forth before for you. And be encouraged that He is able to bring you through. In Jesus' name. Love you all.